Masters of the ancient sky. Confrontation. In the shadow of modern winged birds, whose images fascinate us with their beauty and grace in flight, lurks one of the most majestic and mysterious groups of creatures ever to conquer the skies. Pterosaurs. Having left the Earth millions of years ago, these flying reptiles became the first rulers of the skies, impressive in their power and majesty. Evolution has given rise to a variety of species of pterosaurs, from small ones like birds to gigantic creatures that rival the size of modern airplanes. Their wings, made of thin membranes, were adapted to the most complex maneuvers in the air, allowing them to hunt prey and glide over the expanses of ancient seas and forests. Some of these powerful pterosaurs, whose size amazes to this day, were able to cover distances comparable to half the globe in one flight. Their power over the heavens extended over 150 million years, leaving their mark on the history of our planet. When the Earth was just forming its continents and the oceans were spreading widely, a group of mysterious creatures was born that conquered the skies. These were pterosaurs. Huge and small flying reptiles were undoubtedly masters of flight in their time. According to research, some members of this group, comparable in size to modern light aircraft, could cover enormous distances in the air. The wings of pterosaurs provided extraordinary maneuverability and speed, allowing them to conquer the vastness of ancient seas and land. Winged creatures ruled the skies for as much as 150 million years, leaving an indelible imprint on the history of evolution. In their glory, pterosaurs were not only rulers of the air, but also important participants in ecosystems, regulating animal populations and contributing to the balance of nature. Like almost every representative of the ancient fauna, pterosaurs had rivals with whom they had to wage fierce clashes for resources, territory, and females. Entire events can be read from the remains of prehistoric representatives. For example, at the beginning of the Jurassic period, one small pterosaur named Rhamphorhynchus was fishing near the shore. He had already eaten a couple and pounced on the third giant fish called Aspidorhynchus. But an unexpected situation occurred. Aspidorhynchus most likely attacked and accidentally closed its jaws on the wing of the Rhamphorhynchus and did not let go, and the winged hunter was unable to cope with it due to the weight of the latter. As a result, both drowned and sank to the bottom of the sea. Tectonic resin has made eternal mummies out of tragic dead rivals that have been well preserved to this day. Now we know that Rhamphorhynchus hunted fish, and at the same time they themselves became prey to large predatory fish. And such cases between Rhamphorhynchus and Aspidorhynchus were not uncommon. The invisible enemy of pterosaurs. Let's look at modern birds. In addition to natural enemies, birds face invisible enemies. These are bird fleas. Small insects travel in a friendly troop throughout the bird's body and cause a lot of trouble. They are perfectly adapted to live in a house called a bird. 150 million years ago, different types of pterosaurs suffered no less from such restless neighbors. Small fleas called Sauropterus found their home on their wings. The fleas had long legs with sharp claws, which helped them stay on the wings of pterosaurs during flight. The most important calling of these invisible insects was to drink the blood of pterosaurs. When pterosaurs hovered tens of meters above the ground, the fleas did not experience discomfort and continued to drink blood. When the pterosaurs dived into the water for fish, the Sauropterus didn't care. These annoying creatures felt great underwater and continued their hellish ceremony. These little creatures were on guard both in the sky and under the water, causing great harm to their large pterosaur friends. Confrontation manifested itself almost everywhere. Quetzalcoatl, a giant pterosaur, at the sight of which all prehistoric animals immediately had urgent matters to attend to and had to urgently run away. With a wingspan of up to an impressive 12 meters, these pterosaurs, which lived some 70 million years ago, were the largest flying creatures in the history of the Earth. According to researchers, the diet consisted of carrion and small vertebrates. But their true skill was flying. Thanks to their superbly developed flight abilities, Quetzalcoatl were considered unsurpassed flyers over long distances and sustained flights. Like most birds and pterosaurs, Quetzalcoatl was driven by extreme curiosity and absolute arrogance. The Tyrannosaurus had just hunted and started eating. But then a giant impudent chicken named Quetzalcoatl arrived. And no matter what, the bird tried to take possession of the prey. The Tyrannosaurus, of course, could not tolerate this and drove the insolent one away. But 2 Quetzalcoatl is already a force, and the Rex had to retreat in this unfair situation. Confrontation always exists. Dimorphodon. In the early Jurassic period, the Earth was home to amazing creatures, among which the mysterious pterosaurs called Dimorphodon stood out. What makes them special? These ancient creatures had a unique feature. They had 2 types of teeth, more similar to the characteristics of mammals than reptiles. This phenomenon is of interest to scientists because pterosaurs typically had teeth of one type designed for a specific type of food. But Dimorphodon sheds light on the diversity and adaptive capabilities of the ancient animal world. These flying reptiles lived in flocks, and if some predator tried to attack them, they instantly received repulses and injuries that were sometimes incompatible with life. It was the collective lifestyle that ensured the safety of this species. But these creatures could not be called soft and fluffy. Dimorphodon were aggressive, arrogant, and fearless omnivores as shown in the Jurassic World films. Nyctosaurs. Living approximately 85 million years ago, these pterosaurs were not large, but they were impressive with their antler-like cranial crests. Nyctosaurs stood out for their unique features. These pterosaurs lost digits on their upper limbs during evolution. The loss of fingers made their movement on the ground difficult. Researchers suggest that it was because of this that nyctosaurs spent most of their lives in the air, almost always in flight. These mysterious creatures only rarely landed on the ground. These pterosaurs had few opponents. Some underwater predator was sure to take advantage of the moment when Nyctosaurus flew too low over the water. Larger pterosaurs usually did not pay attention to their smaller counterparts, preferring dead animals. But of course there were exceptions to the rules. Pteranodons. It is believed that more specimens of pteranodon have been discovered than any other pterosaur, giving scientists the unique opportunity to show the world this flying creature as it really was. These powerful creatures stood out among their pterosaur relatives for their size and anatomical structure. As for their diet, it was based on fish and small crustaceans, which pteranodons caught on the fly from the ocean. The long, toothless beak of the pteranodon served as an excellent tool for catching prey in the air. Pteranodon could attack both pterosaurs of other species and its fellow tribesmen in the event that it was necessary to take away prey or fight off the female it liked. The ancient world impresses with its mysterious inhabitants, among which the Laernulaer stands out. These creatures inhabited our planet approximately 110 million years ago. The Laernulaer attracts attention with its huge crest on its head, which occupied an incredible 75% of the surface of the skull. The size of the Laernulaer was impressive. The skull reached about 1.5 meters in length, and the wingspan was approximately 4.5 meters. But despite their impressive size, they preferred the earth rather than the sky. This is confirmed by their proportionally powerful paws and jaws, indicating that they were rather terrestrial. Real predators. And of course, these pterosaurs could have clashes with both mammals and dinosaurs. The Laernulaer could be excellent fighters and engage in ground combat with most predators. In case of danger, these feathered creatures could take wings and fly away. In ancient times, on our planet, Tenochasmas occupied their unique place among the inhabitants of the sky and water. They lived about 140 million years ago and were distinguished by their special teeth, long, thin, and very densely spaced, similar to a brush. Scientists believe that these unique teeth help Tenochasmas filter water when searching for food. Water passed through the teeth, and small invertebrates lingered in the pterosaur's mouth and became its prey. It was a true evolutionary engineering masterpiece that helped Tenochasms survive and thrive in their ancient world. But these small pterosaurs often became prey to marine predators themselves. The gaping pterosaur could have been grabbed by a shark. Ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs often fed on them. Jungloraptor. This pterosaur can hardly be called a predator. Scientists studied the complete and well-preserved skeleton of the flying creature and found that the pterosaur ate shellfish. This is evidenced by the straight and blunt teeth that were needed to pull the mollusk out of the shell. Therefore, Jungloraptor itself most likely was prey for all types of predators. The vast majority of pterosaurs were carnivores, eating mainly fish. Later and smaller flying reptiles most likely also hunted insects. Pterosaurs cannot be called 100% predators. Most of them were inclined to eat carrion. Even the giant pterosaurs preferred the meat of dead animals rather than hunting. By the way, in terms of their flight style, most pterosaurs resemble large gulls and albatrosses. Scientists suggest that even the smallest pterosaurs could not flap their wings like sparrows or tits. These creatures glided in the sky like hang gliders, and only when in danger or searching for prey could they flap their wings vigorously and frequently. Due to the fact that part of the brain was developed in many types of pterosaurs, it is generally accepted that these creatures had more developed intelligence than terrestrial animals. These monsters had perfect orientation in space and at altitude. Pelican pterosaur, or Acrandrico avatar Acrandrico, was named after the flying creatures from Avatar. The reptile lived in the late Cretaceous period in the territory of modern China. This amazing specimen fed on fish and stored food in its throat pouch. Of course, this pterosaur risked its life when it hunted. Inattention could play a cruel joke on the Acrandrico in the form of a hidden plesiosaur or a hungry Sarcosuchus. Pterosaurs lived in flocks. Habitat hung from a family of flying creatures. They settled on sea coasts, cliffs, in valleys remote from the sea, near rivers and lakes. Pterosaurs mate for life. Flying lizards laid eggs in pre-prepared nests. They built nests on high rocks, cliffs, and trees. Pterosaurs looked after their offspring until the young began to feed and fly independently. To prevent the eggs from drying out and getting cold, the female covered the clutch with grass and leaves and incubated it until the cubs hatched. While the female was incubating the eggs, the male was busy getting food. Archaeopteryx. In terms of skeletal structure, Archaeopteryx is similar to modern species of birds, as well as to the skeletons of the fossil remains of Deinonychus, which belonged to theropod dinosaurs. Deinonychus, in turn, are considered the closest relatives of birds. Experts believe that an animal such as Archaeopteryx could fly, or at least be able to glide well. In all likelihood, thanks to its relatively long limbs, Archaeopteryx could run for a long time and quickly along the ground until it was picked up by rising air currents. Having tenacious claws on their wings, they could easily climb tall trees and then end up in the air, gliding over considerable distances. It is believed that most of the life of these ancient representatives of birds took place in the trees. If you pay attention to the structure of the teeth, they were not intended for grinding food of plant origin. But still, Archaeopteryx could feed not only on carrion and insects, but also on plants. Since Archaeopteryxes were not impressive in size, they had many natural enemies. Considering the fact that Archaeopteryx could fly, or at least glide, they were not easy prey for predators. Pterosaurs were amazing creatures, and in the near future we will learn a lot about these interesting creatures. When the universe created our Earth, it took this issue seriously. The planet has become more than just a piece of rock that rotates in millions in space. The Earth has become home to billions of living organisms. And in order for all these organisms to coexist on the planet, a natural balance appears. Of course, this balance was not perfect. When the universe was in a bad mood, it sent huge meteorites to Earth that destroyed 90% of all the inhabitants of the planet. And it all started again. It took millions of years for the Earth to once again boast a diversity of flora and fauna. This continued until us. This will continue after us. In the depths of the world's oceans, where light does not penetrate and the silence is only broken by the sound of the surf, lived the prehistoric giant shark Megalodon. Megalodon, the giant shark of ancient times, possessed majestic power and undeniable magnificence. The terrible and insidious shark had no equal. The name Megalodon is a proud abbreviation. Megalo means great. Don means tooth. The teeth of the ancient shark, the remains of which we find in modern-day reefs, were truly amazing. Such huge teeth easily crushed the bones of the most massive creatures in the sea. Imagine a huge creature swimming in the dark depths of the ocean. Its dimensions are not inferior to those of a giant sperm whale or even a blue whale. However, unlike the latter, Megalodon is not a peace-loving creature that does not hunt various inhabitants of the marine fauna. The blue whale, with its graceful manner and peaceful nature, poses virtually no danger to other marine life. But Megalodon, being a predatory shark, hunted differently. Its sharp teeth and powerful jaws are designed to attack and destroy anything that comes its way. Megalodon knows no mercy. His hunter's instincts are awakened by the sight of potential prey. The bite force, beyond imagination, reaches an astonishing 110 kilonewtons, which is equivalent to the weight of several cars. But could a big mega swim so serenely across the endless expanses of the oceans? There were several marine animals that overlapped within a short period of prehistory with Megalodon. This is Melville's Leviathan, a huge toothed whale that could pose a threat to the Megalodon. And it's hard to say which of them presented lunch at the meeting. Everything depended on the circumstances. This is the size and age of the opponents, and also the number of individuals at the meeting. Sometimes a family of megalodons would attack a lone leviathan, and sometimes several whales pinned a giant shark in the corner, another opponent who could fight back against the megalodon. In the depths of the ancient oceans, where darkness envelopes everything around and only distant rays of light shine through, looping through the thick curtain of water, there lived a creature that evoked awe and horror even in the most daring inhabitants of the underwater world. Zygophocider, this mysterious predator of the ocean spaces. There's something of a killer whale about him. Grace and cunning that make him an even more dangerous opponent. Although Zygophocider is small compared to the Leviathan, its powerful jaws and sharp teeth make it no less dangerous. His body length reaches about 23 feet, but this is only a disguise for his true strength. They hunt in packs, coordinated and mercilessly, leaving no chance for even the strongest prey. If a lone megalodon appeared on the path of a school of these small whales, then it could end sadly for the latter. Rhamphosaucus, ancestor of the gharial crocodile, with an impressive length of 60 feet. This beast surpassed even the most fearsome predators of its time. The name Rhamphosaucus sounds like a mighty thunder. And in fact, it was a creature without equal in its vastness. Unlike the megalodon, whose form represented the strength and thunder of the ocean, Rhamphosaucus was a secretive predator striving for greatness and dominance in its world. Its advantage over the megalodon was its mobility and speed in the water. Thanks to these qualities, he could maneuver deftly, catching his prey and avoiding danger. Its teeth were ideal for hunting large fish, and its terrifying appearance could freeze even the most courageous opponent. The greatness of the ancient predators Megalodon, Zygophosaur, and Ramphosuchus captures the imagination, because they stood at the top of the food chain of their time, ruling the waters and instilling fear in all who dared to cross their path. Archaeological finds, as impressive as they are, often leave many gaps in our understanding of these ancient monsters. Complete skeletons of these creatures practically do not exist, and this is especially true of the Megalodon, the king of all predators of the deep sea. Most often, archaeologists discover only fragments and remains, among which Megalodon teeth are the most common find. These huge and powerful teeth are a reminder of the merciless nature of this predator, but other parts of its body, those on which other, stronger predators might have left their mark, have not yet been discovered. The Mosasaurus is a symbol of ancient power and strength, the embodiment of survival in the ruthless world of the Cretaceous Sea. This ancient predator was truly a terrifying sight. Its huge jaws and sharp teeth made it a deadly machine, and its menacing appearance terrified even the bravest inhabitants of the ocean. The Mosasaurus was a merciless hunter whose diet could include any sea creature. Paleontologists suggest that the diet of Mosasaurus was diverse and included different types of animals. He hunted bony fish, sharks, cephalopods, birds, and other marine reptiles. Even other mosasaurs could not feel safe, because this predator was ready to attack them mercilessly and without hesitation. But there was a predator that could resist the Mosasaurus. Brahivinae. Brahivinae were the arbiters of the laws of the waters, possessors of formidable strength and the ruthless nature of predators. Their enormous size and powerful limbs made them unsurpassed hunters, capable of doing anything to catch their prey. This sea monster, reaching a length of up to 40 feet, was very dangerous for the Mosasaurus. Its powerful jaws and sharp teeth made it a deadly opponent for anyone. Hunting in the depths of the ocean, he pursued other sea creatures, sparing no one in his path. The discovery of the remains of Brahivinae is like a link in a chain that turns our understanding of the world of antiquity upside down. We previously believed that mosasaurs were the only rulers of the Cretaceous seas. But the appearance of Brahivinae forces us to reconsider this point of view. This giant suggests that pliosaurs may have survived the Jurassic period and continued to exist, roaming the oceans in search of prey. Although mosasaurs clearly drove them out of certain areas and left them in a vulnerable position, it is important to note that pliosaurs did not disappear from the face of the earth. These majestic predators lived side by side with mosasaurs, creating a unique balance in the world of sea creatures. The kings of the seas and oceans were forced to coexist with each other and were clearly the most malicious competitors, probably with each other. Dunkleosteus, sea king of the Devonian period. This ancient giant was the ruler of the sea. Woe to those who stood in his way. Its greatness can only be compared with the legendary tyrannosaurs of land. But Dunkleosteus was the king of the water element, where the shark's neighbors seemed only helpless fish. Its enormous size and strong jaws made it an unrivaled predator, capable of doing anything to achieve a successful hunt. Dunkleosteus was the embodiment of fear for all who dared to fight him. This giant fed mainly on cephalopods, but if an inattentive fish came across its path, the predator could bite it too. In the ancient seas, the only one that could match Dunkleosteus in strength and size was another, even more formidable Dunkleosteus. These creatures practiced cannibalism, leaving no chance even for their fellow creatures. The clashes between two giant Dunkleosteus were both magnificent and tragic. Powerful jaws filled with sharp teeth fought for supremacy in the aquatic struggle for survival. Each of the predators strove for the top of the food chain, ready to do anything to prove their strength and power. Some of the most ferocious sea creatures that ever lived on the planet were the sharp-toothed ichthyosaurs. Ichthyosaurs were the absolute rulers of the seas of their time, not succumbing for a moment to any enemies or dangers. Their powerful bodies and sharp teeth allowed them to easily dominate the aquatic environment, and the lack of natural enemies contributed to their rapid development and evolution. This absolute chaos in the seas allowed the ichthyosaurs to flourish and evolve, creating impressive forms and adaptations that made them even more powerful and fearsome. They were animals devoid of any natural rivals. Laernulaer, one of the most popular species among pliosaurs. This predator ate everything that could become its prey. Sharks, clams, plesiosaurs, and many other sea creatures. Laernulaer had no equal at that time. He was the consummate warrior of the ocean, devoid of any enemies except his fellows. Analysis of the behavior of modern species occupying similar ecological niches confirms that cannibalism may have flourished among Laernulaers. In a world where food was abundant and competitors were few, Laernulaer could not only hunt prey, but also feed on its fellows when there was nothing to eat. Another pliosaur that could boast of strength and powerful build. This is Kronosaurus, inhabitant of the early Cretaceous period. Despite its enormous size, the teeth of Kronosaurus were not admired. Contrary to expectations, each of them was only a few inches long and possessed only a small degree of the lethal cutting edges characteristic of more advanced marine reptiles, not to mention prehistoric sharks. It is believed that this pliosaur compensated for its lack of sharp teeth with a deadly powerful bite and the ability to pursue prey at high speeds. Once Kronosaurus had a firm grip on a plesiosaur or sea turtle, it could roughly shake its prey and then easily crush its skull like an underwater grape. Well, who could hunt such a giant as Kronosaurus? Recent scientific discoveries in the field of paleontology have recorded amazing evidence of the clash of ancient monsters. Paleontologists have discovered Kronosaurus bite marks on the skull of an Australian plesiosaur known as Eromangosaurus. However, despite the evidence discovered, it remains a mystery what happened to this further as a private being. Whether the plesiosaur died after being attacked by the Kronosaurus or continued to exist with a horribly deformed head remains open. An ancient marine predator of insects and arthropods known as Echolopterus reigned on Earth about 400 million years ago. This amazing creature, who became the arbiter of the laws of nature in his era, was ready to swallow everything that was smaller in size, including his fellow creatures. Growing to an impressive 8 feet in length, Echolopterans had powerful, spiked claws with which they caught their prey. Experts suggest that these monstrous arthropods, armed with their claws, waited for their victims and then instantly attacked, tearing them to pieces. Research into Echoloptera helps us better understand the evolution and diversity of life on our planet. This unique animal has left its mark on history, reminding us of how vast and great nature was even millions of years ago. Triassic. The ancient waters were home to creatures remarkably similar to modern eels, known as nothosaurs. Their memorable appearance made nothosaurs prominent representatives of the world of prehistoric fauna. They were impressive in size, reaching lengths of up to 23 feet, and had unique adaptations for life in an aquatic environment. The main distinguishing features of nothosaurs were their paddle fins and webbed feet, which allowed them to develop high speeds in the water. These powerful body parts allowed nothosaurs to move and hunt effectively in an aquatic environment. Their sharp, needle-like teeth and powerful jaws made them dangerous predators. Nothosaurs were able to easily tear prey apart, providing themselves with the necessary nutrition. But still, even for such an animal, there were more dangerous predators. These were different types of ichthyosaurs. Larger specimens like Shanosaurus could come into conflict with an inattentive Nothosaurus. We still don't know how it all ended, but rather nothing good. Another representative of the Triassic period, Mastodonsaurus. Unlike its marine counterparts, this creature lived in swamps, lakes, and river deltas. The appearance of the Mastodonsaurus forced all aquatic inhabitants to reckon with it. The teeth were so gigantic that they did not fit into the mouth. The great Mastodonsaurus was a relative of common frogs, but this did not stop him from causing terror in his element. The only enemy of this predator was drought. If a swamp or lake dried out, the great Mastodonsaurus simply died from dehydration.
Let's go back to the Jurassic period. The Jurassic period was known for its rich diversity of dinosaurs, including many large and small land predators. These predators occupied key positions in food chains and played an important role in the ecosystems of their time. Allosaurus, one of the most famous large predators of the Jurassic period, reaching lengths of up to 33 feet. This hunter had powerful jaws, sharp teeth, and was an active hunter, capable of pursuing and killing large herbivorous dinosaurs such as stegosaurs and sauropods. Ceratosaurus, a medium-sized predator up to 20 feet long with a distinctive horn on its nose and long teeth. It could have hunted small and medium-sized herbivorous dinosaurs, as well as possibly carrion. It had powerful jaws and teeth adapted for tearing flesh. Yanquinosaurus, a large predator up to 33 feet long that lived in Asia. He had massive jaws and teeth that allowed him to hunt other dinosaurs. This is Megalosaurus. The up to 29-foot-long predator was known as one of the first dinosaurs to be described. It was an active hunter and scavenger, preying on large and small herbivorous dinosaurs. This monster has an interesting name, Dubralosaurus. It was a predator from the Megalosaurus family. Dubralosaurus received its name in 2002 after it was initially mistaken for a new species of Poakilopleuron, a large theropod closely related to Megalosaurus. Later studies showed that it is closer to Eustreptopondylus. Dubralosaurus has a shorter snout. The remaining distinguishing features are minor differences in the structure of their vertebrae and shoulder blades. Although no crests or horns were found on this dinosaur, the only known specimen of Dubralosaurus was a juvenile, and similar appendages may have developed later. Like its relatives, Dubralosaurus had short but strong three-toed forelimbs. Fossils of Dubralosaurus were found in sediments that accumulated in mangrove swamps. This suggests that he hunted fish and other sea animals. A medium-sized predator up to 16 feet long, with characteristic bony projections on the skull, possibly used for display or fighting. Small theropods inhabited the forests of the Jurassic period and also played major roles in the evolution of the ancient world. Compsognathus or Compsognathus. A small predator up to 3 feet long that lived in Europe. It fed on small animals such as insects, lizards, and small mammals. Ornitholestes or Ornitholestes. A small predator up to 7 feet long, with long hind legs and sharp claws adapted for catching small prey. Celadiosaurus. Although it is not a predator, but a herbivorous dinosaur, it is included for context as the prey of some small theropods. He had armored skin, which protected him from predators. Protoavials of the Jurassic period were associated as predators, although they were a transitional link between animals and birds. This is Archaeopteryx, one of the early representatives that combined characteristics of birds and dinosaurs, such as wings and feathers, but with sharp teeth and claws that could be used for catching small prey. Anchiornis, a transitional species between theropods and birds, with feathers and claws that were used to catch insects and other small animals. Ancient reptiles and amphibians. Rhamphorhynchus, a flying lizard with long teeth and a hooked tail that hunted fish and small vertebrates. Although it was not a land predator in the traditional sense, it was an important predator in coastal and aquatic ecosystems. Food chains and ecosystems. Land ecosystems of the Jurassic period included complex food chains in which carnivorous dinosaurs occupied the upper levels. They hunted various types of herbivorous dinosaurs, as well as small reptiles and mammals, maintaining the balance of ecosystems. Predators also interacted with marine and coastal ecosystems, where they scavenged and competed with other predators. These theropods and small predators of varying sizes and shapes had a significant impact on Jurassic ecosystems, occupying key ecological niches and facilitating the evolution and adaptation of both predators and their prey. The Cretaceous period was a time of active evolution and diversification of dinosaurs, especially carnivorous theropods. These land predators occupied the top of food chains and played a key role in Cretaceous ecosystems. Theropods are giants. Tyrannosaurus rex, one of the most famous and largest carnivorous dinosaurs, reaching a length of up to 39 feet and a weight of up to 9 tons. It had powerful jaws with huge teeth adapted for tearing flesh, and was capable of hunting large herbivorous dinosaurs. Giganotosaurus, one of the largest known theropods, reaching lengths of up to 42 feet. He had massive jaws and teeth, which allowed him to hunt large sauropods. Carcharodontosaurus, a large predator up to 42 feet long, with large teeth similar to those of sharks. He hunted sauropods and other large dinosaurs. Spinosaurus, one of the largest carnivorous dinosaurs, reaching lengths of up to 59 feet. It had a characteristic dorsal crest and adaptations for a semi-aquatic lifestyle, which allowed it to hunt both fish and land dinosaurs. Tarbosaurus, a close relative of Tyrannosaurus rex, up to 39 feet long. He lived in Asia and was the dominant predator in his region. Middle theropods Allosaurus, Carnotaurus, a medium-sized predator up to 26 feet long. It had unique short horns on its head and long hind legs, which allowed it to reach high speeds. Mapiosaurus reached lengths of up to 32 feet and hunted in packs on large herbivorous dinosaurs such as Titanosaurus. Utahraptor, one of the largest dromaeosaurids, up to 23 feet long, with large claws on its hind feet, which were used to hunt large dinosaurs. Small theropods. Velociraptor, a small predator up to 6 feet long, with curved claws on its hind legs and long forelimbs, which it used to catch small animals and birds. Deinonychus, a medium-sized theropod up to 11 feet long, with a distinctive claw on its hind foot. He was an active hunter, possibly hunting in packs. Microraptor, a small theropod up to 3 feet long, with 4 wings and the ability to glide. It hunted small vertebrates and insects. Microraptor flew like a biplane, that is, the wings on the hind legs during flight should have been lower than the wings on the front legs. Only in this way could Microraptors soar in the sky. Some more predators can be added to this list. Sciosaurus or Sciates microrum, a large theropod up to 33 feet long, with powerful jaws and claws. It preyed on medium to large herbivorous dinosaurs. During the existence of Sciates, the vastness of modern Utah was inhabited by various herbivorous dinosaurs. The climate at that time was humid. Many different plants grew. These were ideal conditions for the existence of such dinosaurs. And only one circumstance spoiled their lives. In these places of opportunity, Sciates were rampant. Incisiosaurus is the oldest oviraptor from China, living at the beginning of the Cretaceous period. Known from a single skull found near the city of Baipiao, in western Liaoning province, China. In 2002, the species was described as Incisivosaurus gauthieri, the incisor lizard. The most significant and highly unusual feature of this dinosaur is its apparent adaptation to a herbivorous or omnivorous lifestyle. It was named for its strongly protruding front teeth, which are commonly found in plant-eating dinosaurs. The predatory dinosaurs of the Cretaceous occupied a variety of ecological niches and hunted a wide range of prey, including large herbivorous dinosaurs, small vertebrates, and possibly other predators. These predators played a key role in maintaining ecosystem balances, regulating herbivore numbers, and contributing to the dynamics of evolution and adaptation during the Cretaceous.
Kings of a prehistoric planet. The Cambrian period is an important time in the history of life on Earth. This period is known as the time of the so-called Cambrian explosion. This is a time of rapid emergence and diversification of many major animal groups. Here are some of the dominant animals of this period. Kings of the Cambrian period. Trilobites. Trilobites were among the most widespread and diverse marine arthropods in the Cambrian seas. These organisms were predators and scavengers. Smaller organisms became prey for these animals, and therefore trilobites can well be considered the kings of the Cambrian period. Archaeocyathai. Archaeocyaths were ancient sponges with calcareous skeletons, similar to modern corals. They played an important role in reef formation, creating complex reef structures that provided shelter for many other organisms. These were the gray cardinals of that time. It seems like an invisible creature, but it was she who played the first violin in the royal court of the Cambrian period. Arthropods. Anomalocaris. Anomalocarids were large predatory arthropods such as Anomalocaris, reaching lengths of up to 3 feet. They had large anterior appendages for capturing prey and a round mouth-like structure. These animals were among the largest and most effective predators of the Cambrian seas. And by the way, they hunted trilobites. Irony of the ancient world. Interesting creatures. Conodonts. Conodonts were small, tooth-like elements thought to belong to primitive chordates. They were likely part of the food chain, being both predators and prey. Of course, they could not be called kings. Giant shrimp. Herdia and similar giant shrimp were large arthropods that preyed on small marine animals. These were predators that played a key role in controlling the populations of other organisms. The Cambrian period was a time of exceptional biodiversity and innovation, with many modern animal types appearing in the fossil record for the first time. These organisms formed complex ecosystems that laid the foundations for the further evolution of life on Earth. After the Cambrian, the Ordovician period began, which is characterized by significant development of marine ecosystems and a further increase in the diversity of life. During this period, various groups of marine organisms dominated. Trilobites were important inhabitants of the seabed, feeding on small organisms and performing a filtering process. Brachiopods. Brachiopods were also filter feeders, attaching to the substrate and filtering plankton from the water. Graptolites. Graptolites were colonial organisms that lived in tube-like structures and floated in columns of water. Graptolites were important planktonic organisms, and their fossils are widely used for the stratigraphy of Ordovician sediments. Corals. The first reef-building corals, such as tabulata and rugosa, began to appear in the Ordovician seas. They played an important role in building reefs and creating complex marine ecosystems, providing shelter for many other organisms. Nautiloids. Nautiloids were a group of cephalopods with straight or spiral shells. They were active predators and dominated the upper tiers of food chains. Bivalve mollusks were diverse and included forms that lived both on the bottom and burrowed into the sediment. They were important filter feeders and occupied various ecological niches. Echinoderms. Crinoids were echinoderms that were attached to the bottom by a stem and had long, feathery arms. They were filter feeders, catching food particles from the water. Ophiuroids or dartertails were agile echinoderms with flexible arms that were used to capture food. They played a variety of ecological roles, from detritivores to active predators. Conodonts were small marine animals with tooth-like elements used for feeding. Conodonts were important parts of the food chain and are key fossils for stratigraphy. Marine arthropods. Various arthropods, such as ancient arachnids and early sea scorpions, eurypterids, were diverse and adaptive. They occupied a variety of ecological niches, from predators to scavengers. Ecdysozoans. Ecdysozoans such as orthocerates, long, straight nautiloids, reached large sizes and were active predators. They dominated the upper tiers of food chains. The Ordovician period is characterized by significant development of marine ecosystems and a further increase in the diversity of life. The Ordovician period was characterized by an increase in marine biodiversity and ecosystem complexity. During this period, many groups of animals appeared, which became the basis for the further evolution of marine ecosystems. The Silurian period was a time of significant evolutionary changes and further development of life on Earth. This period was dominated by various groups of animals that lived in both marine and coastal ecosystems. Nautiloids continued to flourish, representing a group of cephalopods with straight or spiral shells. Bivalves were diverse and included forms that lived both on the bottom and burrowed into the sediment. Echinoderms, crinoids, echinoderms with long feathery arms, were important filter feeders, catching fish, ground particles from water. Trilobites remained an important and diverse group of marine arthropods, although their numbers and diversity began to decline compared to previous periods. Bivalve brachiopods continued to thrive and remained important components of marine ecosystems. They were effective filter feeders and occupied coastal and shelf areas. Graptolites remained important planktonic organisms that lived in colonies and played an important role in marine ecosystems. The first jawed fish acanthidas, or spiny fish, were among the first jawed fish, having characteristic spines and scales. They were important predators and played a significant role in the development of fish ecosystems. Placoid fish, such as members of the early cartilaginous fish group, began to evolve during this period. They occupied a variety of ecological niches, including predation and filter feeding. Racoscorpions or eurypterids reached large sizes and were one of the largest predators of the Silurian seas. Their goal is to control the populations of other marine organisms. The Silurian period was a time of significant change and development of marine ecosystems, dominated by diverse groups of animals. During this period, the colonization of land by the first terrestrial plants began, which created the basis for the further development of the terrestrial biosphere. The Devonian period is known as the Age of Fish due to the enormous diversity and dominance of different groups of fish. This period also saw important evolutionary changes associated with the emergence of the first vertebrates on land and the development of terrestrial ecosystems. Armored fish or placoderms were the first vertebrates with jaws and had armored plates covering the front of the body. Dunkleosteus, one of the most famous placoderms, reaching lengths of up to 33 feet. Placoderms were among the largest and dominant predators of the Devonian seas. Lobe-finned fish or sarcopterygians. Lobe-finned fish had muscular fins that resembled limbs. These included fish such as coelacanths and dipnoi lungfishes. These fish played important roles in ecosystems and became the ancestors of the first land vertebrates. Cartilaginous fishes, such as early sharks, began to diversify and occupy different ecological niches. They were efficient predators and competed with other fish for food resources. Bony fish like the ray-finned actinopterygii began to evolve and become more diverse. The Devonian period saw the emergence of the first vertebrates onto land. An example is Tiktaalik, which had characteristics of both fish and amphibians. These early tetrapods adapted to life in coastal and freshwater environments, becoming the ancestors of all terrestrial vertebrates. Jawless fish or agnates. Although their dominance had decreased compared to previous periods, jawless fishes, such as various species of hagfishes and lampreys, continued to exist. They occupied the niches of scavengers and filter feeders. Bivalves continued to be important filter feeders in marine ecosystems. They purified water from suspended particles and served as food for many predators. Ammonites began to become more diverse and were the ancestors of modern cephalopods. Nautiloids such as orthosauroids continued to flourish. Echinoderms such as crinoids, ophiuroids, snake tails, and sea urchins flourished in Devonian seas. They were engaged in water filtration and processing of organic material. Arthropoda. Racoscorpions or eurypterids reached large sizes and continued to be important predators in coastal and freshwater ecosystems. They played a key role in controlling the populations of other organisms. The first terrestrial arthropods, such as millipedes and early spiders, began to colonize the land. They decomposed organic material and played an important role in the formation of the first soils. The Devonian period was a time of significant evolutionary changes and adaptations that laid the foundations for the subsequent development of terrestrial ecosystems. During this period, fish reached maximum diversity and dominance in the seas, and the first vertebrates began to move onto land, marking a major milestone in the evolution of life on Earth. The Carboniferous period is characterized by significant changes in the evolution of animals and plants. During this period, various groups of animals dominated both marine and terrestrial ecosystems. The main features of the Carboniferous were extensive forests, which later turned into coal deposits, and high oxygen levels in the atmosphere, which facilitated the development of giant insects and other invertebrates. Giant insects. Meganeura. An insect similar to a modern dragonfly with a wingspan of up to 70 centimeters, it is one of the largest known flying insects. Archaeorthoptera. The ancestors of modern Orthoptera, such as grasshoppers and crickets, reached considerable sizes. Arachnids. Large spiders and scorpions, such as Pulmonoscorpius, reached sizes of up to 70 centimeters, myriapods. Arthropleura. One of the largest known arthropods, reaching lengths of up to 9 feet. This giant multi-legged creature lived in forests and fed on plant material. Amphibians or labyrinthodonts. Eogeraria or Eogeranus. One of the largest representatives of labyrinthodonts, resembling modern ones crocodiles. These semi-aquatic predators reached lengths of up to 15 feet. Megalosaurus or Megalobatrachus. Giant amphibians that lived in reservoirs and on the banks. Early reptiles. Hylonomus. One of the first known reptiles to live on land. This small organism reached lengths of up to 8 inches and fed on insects and other small invertebrates. Paleosaurs. Early reptiles adapted to a variety of ecological niches, from predators to herbivores. Sea creatures. Foraminifera and Radiolaria single-celled organisms with mineral skeletons that played an important role in marine ecosystems and sedimentation. Shellfish. Ammonites. Marine cephalopods with spiral shells that were important predators and planktivores. Bivalvia. Blastoid. Crinoid-like echinoderms that were important components of marine ecosystems. Fish. Acanthodes. Primitive jawed fish that began to evolve and diversify. Placoid fish. Cartilaginous fish, such as early sharks, continued to thrive. Bony fish. Diverse representatives of bony fishes that occupied various ecological niches in marine and freshwater ecosystems. The Carboniferous period was a time of significant evolutionary change, when vast forests formed and high oxygen levels in the atmosphere supported the development of giant insects and other invertebrates. This period was dominated by both marine and terrestrial ecosystems with diverse groups of animals, laying the foundation for the subsequent development of life on Earth.
Kings of a Prehistoric Planet. Part 2. The Jurassic period is known for its rich and diverse wildlife, especially dinosaurs. During this period, the dominant animals can be divided into several groups: dinosaurs, tyrannosaurs. Although tyrannosaurs are best known from the later Cretaceous, their ancestors, such as Prognathodon and Guanlong, began to appear in the Jurassic. Ceratosaurs. Medium-sized predatory dinosaurs with characteristic horns and crests. Allosaurus. One of the largest predators of the Jurassic period, reaching up to 33 feet in length. Diplodocus. Giant herbivorous dinosaurs with long necks and tails that could reach lengths of up to 100 feet. Stegosaurs are known for their back plates and tail spines, which were used for defense. Brachiosaurs. One of the most famous groups of long-necked herbivorous dinosaurs, distinguished by their nostrils located on the top of their heads. Sea creatures. Plesiosaurs. Long-necked marine reptiles with flippers that hunted fish and shellfish. Ichthyosaurs. Marine reptiles that resembled the body shape of modern dolphins, with large eyes and sharp teeth. Mosasaurs. Although they became more common during the Cretaceous, their ancestors also existed during the Jurassic and were formidable predators of marine ecosystems. Pterosaurs. The first group of vertebrates to master flight. Among them were both small and large species, such as Rhamphorhynchus and pterodactyls. Fish. The seas of the Jurassic period contained many species of fish, from small bony fish to large cartilaginous fish such as sharks. Mammals. Although they were small and did not dominate ecosystems, early mammals such as Morganecudens existed during the Jurassic period. Amphibians and reptiles. Various species of frogs, salamanders, and other amphibians also inhabited land and water bodies, and small reptiles occupied a variety of ecological niches. The Jurassic period was a time of active evolution and diversification of many groups of animals, which set the stage for even greater diversity in subsequent periods such as the Cretaceous. The Cretaceous period, which lasted 80 million years, was a time of significant animal diversity and evolution. This time was dominated by various groups of dinosaurs, marine and flying reptiles, and the first flowering plants. Tyrannosaurus rex was one of the most famous carnivorous dinosaurs of the Cretaceous period, reaching lengths of up to 40 feet and weighing about 9 tons. Triceratops. Famous three-horned herbivorous dinosaurs that reached lengths of up to 30 feet, with large horns and a shield on the head. Velociraptors. Small predatory dinosaurs, reaching lengths of up to 7 feet, characterized by high mobility and sharp claws. Hadrosaurs. Also known as duck-billed dinosaurs, they were herbivores and had characteristic ridges on their heads. Ankylosaurs. Heavily armored dinosaurs with bony spines and a powerful tail used for protection. Spinosaurus. One of the largest predatory dinosaurs with a characteristic crest on the back and adaptations for a semi-aquatic lifestyle. Sea creatures. Mosasaurs. Large marine reptiles, reaching lengths of up to 60 feet. Were the dominant predators of the seas of the Cretaceous period. Plesiosaurs. Marine reptiles with long necks and flippers that hunted fish and other marine life. Ichthyosaurs. Marine reptiles that resembled modern dolphins, which began to disappear towards the end of the Cretaceous period. Flying reptiles. Pterosaurs, flying reptiles such as pterodactyls and pteranodons with wingspans up to 40 feet. Asdarchids. Some of the largest pterosaurs with wingspans of up to 32 to 40 feet. They were efficient predators and scavengers. Fish. The Cretaceous seas were rich in a variety of fish species, from small bony fish to large cartilaginous fish such as sharks and rays. Mammals. Early mammals continued to evolve and diversify, although they remained relatively small in size. By the end of the Cretaceous period, the first placental mammals appeared. Amphibians and reptiles. Various species of frogs, salamanders, and other amphibians inhabited land and water, as well as small reptiles such as lizards and snakes. The Cretaceous period ended with a mass extinction known as the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event, which led to the extinction of many groups of animals, including all non-avian dinosaurs. However, this extinction freed up ecological niches, which were occupied by mammals and birds in subsequent eras. The Paleocene era immediately followed the mass extinction at the end of the Cretaceous period, which wiped out the dinosaurs and many other large animals. This era is characterized by the restoration of ecosystems and the rapid development of mammals, birds, and other groups of animals. Here are some of the dominant animals of the Paleocene. Mammals. Pantodonts. Large herbivorous mammals such as Coryphodon, which reached the size of a hippopotamus and were among the largest mammals of their time. Condensers. A group of carnivorous mammals, including carnivores such as Hyaenodon, which were large and powerful hunters. Protungulates. The early ancestors of modern ungulates, such as Phenacodus, are small in size but diverse in species and ecology. Primates. Early primates such as Plesiodapus began to evolve in the Paleocene as small arboreal animals. Birds. Gastornis. Large flightless birds of prey, reaching up to 6.5 feet in height, known for their massive beaks and powerful legs. Early waterfowl and coastal birds. Ichthyornis were the ancestors of modern gulls and albatrosses. Reptiles. Various species of crocodiles, turtles, and lizards continue to evolve and adapt to new conditions. Amphibians. Frogs and salamanders remained an important part of ecosystems, occupying a variety of aquatic and semi-aquatic niches. Fish. Marine and freshwater ecosystems were rich in a variety of fish species that continued to evolve after the Cretaceous extinction event. The Paleocene was a time of significant change and evolutionary innovation, setting the stage for even greater diversity of animals and plants in the Eocene and subsequent eras. The Eocene epoch, which lasted 20 million years, was a time of significant change and evolution for many groups of animals. During this period, the climate was warm and humid, facilitating the development of a variety of ecosystems, from tropical forests to vast marine ecosystems. Perissodactyly. This is a group of equids that includes early horses such as Hyracotherium, as well as rhinoceroses and tapirs. They were among the most diverse and successful mammals of this era. Cetaceans. The appearance of early cetaceans, such as Pakicetus and Ambulocetus, which still had features characteristic of terrestrial animals, but gradually adapted to an aquatic lifestyle. Carnivorous mammals, including early members of the carnivora orders such as Myosis, which were the ancestors of modern dogs, cats, and bears. Early primates. The Eocene saw the emergence of a variety of primates such as Adipus and Notharctus, which lived in forests and adapted to an arboreal lifestyle. Brontotherium. Large herbivorous mammals with massive bony growths on their heads, such as Brontotherium. Birds. Phororhacaceae. Large flightless birds of prey such as Phorus rhacos, which were one of the dominant land predators. Waterfowl included the ancestors of modern pelicans, ducks, and gulls, which inhabited coastal and inland waters. A variety of species of crocodiles, turtles, and snakes continued to thrive during the Eocene, occupying a variety of ecological niches. Frogs and salamanders remained an important part of ecosystems, living in forests and water bodies. The Eocene seas were rich in a variety of fish species, including sharks such as carcharocles, the early ancestors of megalodons. The Eocene was a time of active evolution for many groups of animals, which laid the groundwork for even greater diversity in subsequent eras such as the Oligocene and Miocene. The Oligocene period was a time when ecosystems continued to evolve after significant diversification in the Eocene. During this period, there was a decrease in temperatures on the planet, which led to changes in vegetation and animal migrations. The dominant species of the Oligocene era included various groups of mammals, also some representatives of other classes. Indricotherium. Huge herbivorous mammals that reached heights of up to 16 feet and lived on open plains. Anthracotheriidae. Semi-aquatic herbivores, ancestors of modern hippopotamuses. These mammals occupied the niches of large herbivores in Oligocene ecosystems. Carnivorous mammals Creodonta and early carnivora. Large predators, representatives of the Hyaenodontidae group, with powerful jaws and teeth. Andrewsarch. One of the largest terrestrial predators, possibly with a scavenger lifestyle. These predators remained supreme in their ecosystems, preying on large herbivores. Parapithecus. Early representatives of the Old World monkeys, ancestors of modern marmosets and apes. Opidium. Primates that lived in the forests of North Africa. These creatures continue to evolve, occupying niches in forest ecosystems. Diatryma. Large birds of prey, similar to Gastornis, but possibly living in America. These birds were apex predators in their ecosystems, feeding on small mammals and other animals. Paleocoles. Early turtles that lived on both land and water. Primitive crocodiles continue to exist, living both on land and in water. These reptiles remained important components of aquatic and semi-aquatic ecosystems. Basilosaurus. Large cetaceans, fully adapted to marine life. Dorodon. Smaller ancestors of modern whales and dolphins. These marine mammals occupied the niches of large marine predators, feeding on fish and squid. Megalodon shark. Otodus obliquus. the ancestor of Megalodon, a large predatory shark that dominated marine ecosystems. The shark was one of the apex predators in the oceans, preying on fish and other marine animals. During the Oligocene era, a variety of insects such as ants, beetles, bees, and butterflies continued to flourish. Insects played an important role in plant pollination and were important components of food chains. The Oligocene period was a time of further evolutionary diversification of mammals and other animal groups. Mammals, birds, and marine animals dominated ecosystems, and their diversity and adaptability allowed them to successfully adapt to changing environmental conditions. The Miocene epoch, which lasted 18 million years, was a time of significant climatic changes and evolutionary transformations. During this period, the climate cooled, which led to the expansion of savannas and forests, as well as the development of many new animal species. Saber-toothed cats Smilodon and Machaerodus. These large predators had long fangs and were one of the dominant land predators. The bears. Early members of the genus Ursus that began to evolve during this period. Hyenas. A group of predators that specialized in carrion, such as Pachycracuta. Early hominids. Proconsul and Dryopithecus. Early primates that are the ancestors of modern apes and humans. Paraceratheria. Large hornless rhinoceroses such as Indricotherium, also known as Paraceratherium, which were among the largest land mammals of all time, reaching heights of up to 16 feet at the shoulder. Horses. Merychippus. The Miocene saw significant development of horses, which began to acquire features characteristic of modern species. Bovids. Early members of the family that includes modern antelopes, goats, and cows. Megalodon. One of the largest species of predatory sharks, reaching lengths of up to 60 feet. Whales. Cythotherium. The development of baleen and toothed whales, which began to occupy various ecological niches in the oceans. Giant birds of prey. Phorusrhacidae. Terrible birds. Large flightless birds of prey that were one of the dominant land predators in South America. Waterfowl and coastal birds, including early representatives of pelicans, gulls, and other coastal species. Reptiles and amphibians. Crocodiles. Various species of crocodiles and alligators continued to thrive during the Miocene. Snakes and lizards continued to evolve and occupy diverse ecological niches. The Miocene was a time of active evolution and adaptation of animals to changing climate conditions, laying the foundation for modern ecosystems and the animals we see today. Thank you for watching this episode to the end. Give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And also press the bell so you don't miss new and interesting videos from the Real Unreal channel.